Well, good morning, boys and girls. Little Sunday Fleabay edition here, and we're going to look at shapers and milling machines today. I've already glanced at shapers, and we'll go through them. There's not a whole lot here, but there's a few that we'll stop and look at. A little more housekeeping along the way here. The back to making Atlas machines affordable again. That's kind of what I built this series on, and we're staying with that. I put out a thing back in October that, and I've said all along, I wasn't interested in providing product to resellers, especially for here on Fleabay or wherever. Um, my goal is Atlas machine end users, you guys that are watching that have got them in your garage, in your shops, in your basement, whatever the case may be. You want this stuff for your own use, and we want to make this stuff as affordable as we can, and I'm trying to stick with that. I said I was not going to sell to resellers, and I changed the policy on that. I've changed that policy a little bit more here. Just yesterday or the day before, I got an order from one that was a reseller, and I have identified it as a reseller. Um, okay sized order, wasn't spectacular, but there was some stuff there. I knew who it was as soon as I saw it. Um, and when I bring up my software off the website to process this stuff through, it tells me if somebody's reordering from me. I go back in and quickly I can tell what they're ordering and everything. Not interested in doing that. I went back and refunded it and sent off the email saying why it was refunded. Um, you know, Guys can get away with doing that with me for a little bit. Once I identify you, I'm going to block you basically. I said before 6 months period. I think I'm not even going to screw around. It's a waste of my time. It ties up your time and money. I refunded it as soon as I saw it and figured out what it was. I would imagine it's going to take the software 3, 4, 5 days before that money gets back into that reseller's account. So not my problem. So I'm very callous about it. I want it to be affordable for guys, and it doesn't do any good to take money from a reseller, have him double the price on Fleabay or some other venue here and make the money. That just drives those prices back up or holds them up there. Now, I have had people say, well, you should just take the money and go on your merry way. Why does it matter to you? Well, it does matter to me. So don't waste my time doing that if that's what your intent to do is. A lot of the stuff that I have coming out of the shop is I'll have stuff coming up here directly. It's we it's back here to a nice cold day again today. When we walked with the dog, or when I walked with the dog, it was, I think it was 24 degrees, something like that. um, my shop's made it to the point that I got too much cast iron in there between the planer and all the other stuff, the lathes and stuff. It does not want to heat up once it gets cooled down. Part of my problem is here this last year I'd opened up a lot of the areas that I had just for storage to be able to use as work areas. I've been working with my Logan turret lathe and things like that. So some of those areas are not well insulated, so it's pulled the temperature down, and I'm not getting warmed up. So consequently, I'm not wanting to work in the shop. Here in the next week, I've got several things that hopefully will be done, and I'll get loaded back to the website that guys have asked me about. I've got a couple of projects for guys. One of them is tailstock clamp for an early Atlas lathe. The other one is a tool post for a Dunlop lathe, badged as Craftsman, that I've got the drawings and everything for. I've been working. So I'll hopefully get those done this week and shipped out or listed on the website, but I've got other products coming up that will be done this week that I've had inquiries about. So, and we'll get to those in a minute. So anyway, let's get back to the real business of looking at Fleabay crap here. So shapers. Right off the bat, we've got an Atlas Craftsman milling machine, machinist vice shaper, pre-owned, $400 or best offer, and $15 delivery. Well, I said before, these are worth about $250 is all they're worth. They're a good vice. They're proper for the machines, but $400 is way out of line on these. I hate to say look at import stuff, and import stuff is going to be another sore subject probably here. I don't know what's going to happen in the near future with material prices, with imported product prices, things like that. We'll wait and see. As far as my stuff, what I've got materials in stock for, I'm going to run it out basically at the same pricing I've got now. we'll see what happens as you know, prices increase, and I do expect prices to increase on materials for me too. So that's one of the things to look at. Atlas Craftsman Mill Milling Machine, Machinist Shaper Vise Pre-Owned, $400 or $15 delivery, plus $15 delivery. 250 bucks. That's all this is worth. Now, as we look at this, I kind of recognize the seller. Let's see what we got here. Description says it does have a vise handle with it. An original Atlas mill vise comes with a homemade base, spins nicely and moves freely. Well, alrighty then. So let's look at the big pictures on this, and I haven't looked at the pictures. Vise has got chowder marks here on top. This is a homemade vise. I got nothing bad to say about it, but what, I don't know. Got the handle here, been painted. Handle's worth 75 bucks or something, but there's the first picture. See what else it tells us here. And I am curious. Let's go and see if it tells us any more as we go along. Yeah, got a big gouge mark here on the top here. And I guess that's really all it tells us. Looks like we got a big drill mark there in the screw. Drill mark there. Yeah, I don't believe those are original holes there. There'd be no reason for them in that vise. The thing I was curious about, and I believe it probably is a milling machine vise, and there is a difference between the mill and the shaper. When you look on the handle here, it's had a pair of vice grips on it down here where they didn't have the handle. Yeah, it's going to be a good usable vise. Is it worth $400? No. It's with the handle, it's worth 250 bucks. These are a nice vise that they're original, and that's the only real saving grace for them. As far as being a really good vise by comparison to some of the vices that are being made today, this is not. So anyway, it's worth half. Half. Now here's a Atlas Craftsman 10-12 inch lathe or 7B counter shaft 4-step pulley 10-80 pre-owned. Of course it is. $48.99. Buy it now and free delivery. So this is from a junk store. One of the junk stores that's making their fortune here. Good usable condition. Oh, the last three photos show a 2-inch section of the biggest pulley. Looks like it was bent at one point and then straightened out. That's why it's as cheap as it is. If it was in good usable condition, then we'll look at it and see. But if it was in really good condition, well, if it was in this condition with no damage to it, 48 bucks is a good buy. Don't see anything more than that. Yeah, look at this big whoopee down here. Standard Zamac pulley. Yeah, that shows that's dink marks there. Yeah. Been whacked a few times. When you try and straighten these, you know, if a guy's good with them and you're lucky, you can straighten them out a little bit more, but yeah, it looks like it's cracked there. Yeah, we got a crack already starting there. That piece is probably going to eventually break out on you, and probably sooner than later. Nope, it's a damaged pulley. Don't waste your money on it. That's just a waste of your money. There, and there. So yeah, they've tried to smack it flat and they've cracked it on out. So nope, junk. It's worth nothing. Another shaper vise, a vintage with handle. Now this is a shaper vise. This is not a milling machine vise. The difference is we've got, well, there's a couple of differences, but you've got 4 holes to mount it on the base, or 4 holes to mount it to the table, all 4 on both sides. The milling machine vise is narrower. It's not as wide as this. It's a little bit different configuration. And I have not had a milling machine vise in my hands. I've got a couple of shaper vices, but I've never had a milling machine vise in my hand, so I have not been able to take dimensions as of yet. At some point, hopefully, I'll be able to pick one up, and we'll get someplace with that. So that's initial. It does have the swivel base, and that previous vise would be a milling machine vise because it has slots here rather than just the holes to bolt it down and swivel. It's a little bit different configuration on this portion of the vase on the milling machine vise too. So the handle's been busted. It's been, I guess we could look at the big pictures here. So yeah, this is what we've got here. Now they've closed this vise up. You can see this is where it's been sitting as far as being closed too. So it'll be interesting to see the condition inside the jaws. I'll bet they're chewed up some. This handle's been busted, so that's devalued it by 90%. Yeah, see, it's been welded up, and it's not even welded square. It's off here at this goofy angle rather than 90 degrees. Not seeing anything there that tells us anything. Yep, junk. Okay, well, it doesn't look like it's all chewed up down in here, at least so far. Got quite a few pictures so you can see it does have the vice jaws on it. Probably, well, it will be a replacement vice jaw at some point in time, which is fine. Makes no difference there. That's just flat steel. Oh, we got a couple of hookies there. What are these here? I think those screw holes were added later. They've had this off of the base and just clamped down to a table. Got a couple of little divots there. So yeah, this is no cherry either. You know, we should not have these holes here to be original. If we're going to have original stuff, we don't want these. Got the key on the bottom. Got the hold downs. Yeah, it's been painted a couple of times. It may have been green at some point in time. Now it's the gray or cream or whatever you want to say that is. Good functional vise. It's not worth $400. You know, it's a $200 vise. 200. It's worth half. Half. And then we're getting down, let's see, a bunch of other goofy stuff. Original lock assembly for Atlas 7-inch metal shaper runner support, $14.95 and $10.24 shipping. Kind of recognize this seller, but yeah, maybe not. Now, I do have to still go back and clean in very good condition. I do have to go back and measure mine, because I seem to remember there was a difference in these, between these and the lock assemblies that went with the milling machine. Original lock assembly for metal shaper support. Clean and very good condition. So if we look at here, we've only got 3 pictures. See, I believe these dimensions, I believe these are a little bit different. I could be mistaken, but they do have a steel collar here and a different nut that goes on to lock them in place as opposed to the what goes on the milling machine. Now see, I would speculate this is probably someone's, I don't know that this is original, most of the original stuff we saw from this era had a square nut cut out recess in these. And as I remember, they had a different size bolt, whereas the ones on the milling machine are quarter 20s is the thread that's used in these. I believe this was a 5/16 or something a little bit different, but I'll have to go back and I'll have to go back and check for sure. That would probably be a good used part there. You know, let's see, part of the problem you see is, look at this, where part of this was bearing on it and part of them weren't. And these are really prone to wanting to seize on the shaft that goes up and down. That I find to be one of the downfalls of this lock on the shapers. They've got a table runner support with shaft right below it for $9.95 and $9.24 shipping. If you need one, that's a decent price. Why would you need one though? Same seller. He's parting out a machine. So clean and very good condition. Let's look at it just because we can. Shiny down here, not so shiny up there. There's not really anything to go wrong with these, but since there's not really anything to go wrong with these, why would you possibly need one? So, I mean, supply and demand, but there's no reason to need one of these. Okay, Atlas Shaper Tool Holder, pre-owned, $255 or best offer and free delivery. Nope. I don't necessarily recognize this seller. Got a fair amount of feedback. What does it say? What are we being told in the description? Good overall condition, free use. Okay. So, we've only got a couple of pictures here. This is factory Atlas. So, that's what it is. You know, I mean, there's what they are is what they are. Nothing to really be said about these, other than they're not worth $255. These I do have in progress. I've got a little machining to do on a couple more of these shanks and then get them welded up. And I have to finish building this and the nut to go on here. I should have these back in stock by hopefully the end of the week. We'll see. As I don't have a big run, I've got 3 or 4 of them to go back up and everything. You can buy more than 2 of mine for what you're going to pay for one of these. I think right now I've got these listed at I believe $100. They'll either be out, the plus shipping, they'll be out there for either $100 or $125. You know, a used one like this, it is original, and since I'm putting mine at $100 or $125, I'm going to say it's worth $100. Any more than that, and no, you're buying a used tool holder. You know, it's nowhere near worth $255. Nowhere near. So that's a pass. Pass. Atlas Milling Machine Shaper L2-679 counter shaft and motor pulleys, 5/8 bores. These are just on the counter shafts. I do not necessarily know that these are the original ones to the, and I'm not going to go look at them, original to the Atlas mills or the Atlas shapers. You know, they're a counter shaft pulley is a counter shaft pulley. These are different than what's on the, I believe, different than what's on the shaper, and probably the mill too. But once you get out onto the end of the counter shaft and on the motor, as long as they're the proper size and bore diameter, it probably doesn't make a whole lot of difference. But I do not believe those are for the current or the Atlas mills and shapers that I work with. Now they want $150 and $10.95 delivery. No, those are worth about $75 for the pair of them. They're worth half. Worth half. There's a shaper pulley S7 124 good used pre-owned, $80 and $23.10 delivery. These should be $60 and $20 delivery. It should be $80 in your door. This is from a seller that normally will sell a bunch of stuff. He's one of our parts dealers that wants to part stuff out. Good used is all he's saying. And I believe it is a decent enough pulley. You know, I've got no reason to believe that he's misrepresenting that in any way, but it's only worth 80 bucks in your door. You know, pretty grungy looking. Probably starting to show a little bit of deterioration there just from kind of glancing at that. Go back and look at the original picture. Yeah, see, look there, starting to show a little bit of deterioration there. And a lot of these you can't tell. Now, I had a comment from an individual yesterday, I think, that said he couldn't understand why they didn't clean some of these parts up more. And I don't know what, you know, it was something on I think the last Fleabay edition. A lot of times the reason they're not cleaning them up more, other than just being lazy, is that once you clean the gunk and the grime off of these to where you can really see what you're looking at, they're actually in worse condition than what we're seeing here. So that's the reason for them not being cleaning up most of their parts, because you would normally think that you could get more money for a part once it was cleaned up and you could see what you had and was ready to go. But a lot of these things are in worse condition. 7-inch shaper door, S7-89 original pre-owned, 180 bucks, 1960 shipping. I think we've looked at this. Got the badge, got the knob on it. Does it have the inside clip? We looked at one here the other day that did not have a clip on the inside. Could it be the same one? Yeah, it might be missing a retainer clip. These are worth half. It's not worth 200 bucks in your door. Worth half. It's worth 100 bucks. Good usable door. I think that's what I said before. It does have the tag on it. Does have the knob. But it's still only worth 100 bucks. Yep, missing the clip here. Yep, we looked at this one. So half. Williams number 46 shaper tool holder with boring bar for Atlas South Bend pre-owned, $229.99. Buy it now and $8.95 shipping. We looked at this one too. No, and this is the last thing we'll look at on shapers. We'll jump over to mills real quick. And this is from one of our normal sellers. What did we just say they wanted? $229.99. I believe, I'm not going to worry about the description. This does have a boring bar holder. You know, you can build those boring bar holders. You drill your hole through, clean it up with a file, put a set screw in the end, 1032 probably, quarter-inch tool bit, and you have a bar for in the shaper. For the bar itself, these are backloaded on my website. I think they're $60, $60, maybe $80, plus shipping. And granted, mine are shop built. You know, I'm not going to come and tell you that it's a factory manufactured thing unless you consider me a little factory. But this is a shop built bar that I offer, but it does exactly the same thing. It will serve everybody just as well in the home shop. You know, we're not using these in an industrial application. So these are not worth $229. You know, used one like this, 80 bucks. 80 bucks if you're being generous, and $10 to ship it. Okay, not worth $229. Let these people sit on these and let them rot for what they're wanting for them. So there we go. Okay, let's go back and look at milling machines. Let's see what we got. Atlas Mill. New listing, Atlas Craftsman Mill, Milling Machine, Index Centers, Machinist. Index Centers for on the mill. I've had a couple of questions about mine. Mine actually right now are sitting on my bench. I'm going to finish out that project here real directly. There again, we're just waiting for the weather to clear. This is a new listing. I don't think we've looked at these. This is from a seller that I recognize. Let's see what they say, because I'm not seeing everything I think I should be saying. Atlas Mill Index Center and gear set, missing the tailstock end. Well, that does you a whole damn lot of good. Okay, big pictures. If you don't have the, it's not even worth close to 500 bucks. If there's no tailstock end to go with it, just initially looking at this, with what you got here, I'm gonna say this is worth 200 bucks, only because you've got all the gears. You've got what looks to be a complete set of gears. Okay, we've got the driver arbor. There again, I've got patterns made up for these. I need to cast some of these, and I'm going to cast them in aluminum. There's no real stress on these once you've got them set up and operating properly. Doesn't have the proper lock handle here. These two holes were not factory. Those, I would guess, were added for probably oil holes, although I don't know why you would need them. And you got gears. Now, normally I will really rag on gears and say you want to make sure your gears are not shark toothed or anything like that. My feeling is that on a set of index centers, it's not that important. The reason being you're indexing them right down here with the pin to go in there. So you're going to get down into the root of that gear anyway. It's going to not be tore up, worn, anything like that. So you're going to be able to use these gears that may not be in optimal condition to run on a lathe. So in that respect, I'm not going to ditch on the gears at all. Condition of them is not all that important as long as you are, kind of keep it in perspective of what the point is. Now the index center that I've been working on, I changed this pointer just a little bit. I made this a flat pointer. It still goes to a V, but it goes flat all the way across, so it covers most of the face of that gear. So if I do have a gear that's got a hunk out of it on one edge, or something, the majority of the tooth is gone, it's still going to index completely fine down into the base, into the root of that gear. So that's a change that I've made on mine slightly. This picture doesn't show us anything that we haven't already seen. Yeah, no new surprises, revelations there. Doesn't have the key for the bottom, which is not a big deal to make, but for 500 bucks, no, this is not even close to being, and shows a listing of the gears. So I'm not going to take the time to figure out. There's 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's a dozen gears there, but 2 of them are duplicates, so you got 10 individual gears for what you're going to utilize there. And there again, I don't know if that's a complete set or not, but it's nowhere near worth 500 bucks. It's worth less than half. It's worth 200 bucks. 200 bucks. 200 bucks. Milling attachment, $389.99 by it now. It's a standard lathe milling attachment. That looks, is that a 6-inch? No, it shows 10 as a prefix, so it'll be a 10-inch. This is a parting out place, parting out seller. Condition is used. Are we saying anything beyond that? Milling attachment from that. Missing the 2 locking pins from the base. Easy to make them. Haven't cleaned it up at all, so should do so nicely. Out of inventory of a local estate. Comes as shown. See, they bought this at a estate sale, or it's a surplus outfit. They're perusing estates to do it. Let's look at the big pictures very quickly. Got one vice jaw, it looks like. From looking there, you can't tell a whole lot. Base looks fine, doesn't have the pins. Yeah, used, scarred up condition. Probably nothing wrong with it. But it's only worth 250 bucks. It's only worth 250 bucks. You can dress up a pig all you want, but it's still only worth that. And I think it's going to come back to the inflationary thing of the way the world is and is going to be for a while. A lot of these parts are, and the parts that I build too, these are luxury items for our home shop. They're enhancing our hobbies. If we get hit too hard with inflation all the way around, these are things that are not going to be being purchased anyway. So if you further don't spend your money on crap like this because you decide it's too expensive. Prices got to come down on them. You know, either they're going to sit on them forever, or the prices are going to come down to be more realistically yet. So here's a milling machine M1 402A belt cover, pre-owned. $100 buy it now in 1950. Now I'm going to say this is not a, and I don't really recognize the seller. Got a little bit of feedback here. Cast iron belt cover, not aluminum. I believe used on earlier machines. Do your research to be sure it fits. I bought it, but my machine takes the aluminum cover. Okay. So what's happened with this is this is indeed an earlier milling machine belt guard cover. This is one of the very early ones. It will not fit on the later machines. It will not. It only fits on the first generation of machines, like my little MF. If you go back and look at pictures of my MF or videos of my MF that are on my playlist here, this is the guard that machine takes. 3 different series of these guards, and this is. Let me stop and think before I open my mouth and say something wrong. I believe that this is the very early guard. This clamp assembly is only used on the guards. Yeah, this only fits on the earlier machines like my MF. The top guard is a smaller guard to match this one. This is a much smaller guard than is on there. The second and third generation guards were a little bit bigger, a little bit wider. They changed the pulley sizes on them. Is probably what started that change or facilitated that change. And they had 2 different styles. One of them, maybe this is second generation. Anyway, this is an early guard. This is not the most common guard. It's not the one you're going to see on most machines, and it will not fit on most machines. The later guards had went from this clamp assembly, which was prone to breaking, and went to a hinge style, so you could change your belt sizes. You know, this you have to pull the guard off to be able to get in there and change where they sit on the pulley. So that's what we got there. It looks to be a good guard, but it won't fit 90% of the machines out there. 402A, there is a 402B, and I believe a 402C. And then the top guards were a M401. Maybe there was an M1402, M1402A, a B, and a C. M1401 was the top cover with the same prefixes on it. That's where we're at. Milling machine crossfeed screw and nut assembly used. Nope. $50 in 1915. Used screws and crossfeed nuts do not work. Do not work. This is a machine seller, a dealer. He parts out the machines and screws us over with them. These are the parts that everybody's after. They're going to be wore out. You don't want this crap. Don't bother to waste your time, waste your money along the way. What's it say? Great threads on screw. Nut has a little play. It's a wore out piece of shit. Okay. There are no. The only thing that could potentially be worth anything is this knob for about 10 bucks. Is the scale there. This is the early style. This is the early style support, which will not take the later arbor supports. This would be MF, you know, from that time frame, like is on my MF. The later machines had a straight shank here. It's a 1-inch straight shank that will accept your overarm support. There again, junk. No. Don't even, this is the shit they can't sell. and we're back into stuff that we've seen before. So we won't waste any more time here. We're going to leave that right there, I think, and hopefully you find something that you can find useful there. I appreciate you sticking through my little rant if you did so. And there we are. So hopefully you find something useful. Comments, suggestions, leave in the comments section for me below, guys. And as always, thanks for taking the time to watch.